call this console class, I does not require any object. Print the content in the next line, then I can able to use WRITELINE. If I miss to add using system in my program, then what I want to do? I want to use my namespace. Without input, computers are not able to process. To process anything, we have to provide the input. Hello to all, a warm welcome to my new session on console input and output. I am your Revati ma'am from the Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram, First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. So dear student, in this session, I am going to deal with how to read the element and how to display the element. Before that, let me to recall the topic what I have discussed in my previous session. So dear student, I started with delegates. So what is delegate in our real life? That is nothing but the representative. So here it is nothing but the pointer, and it's going to address, or it holds the address of the method. But if I consider C program, in C, pointer is nothing but the variable that holds the address of another variable. But if I consider delegates, it is also a pointer which is going to reference to method. Now, in my last session, I have discussed how to declare a delegate, how to call a delegate, and how to invoke a delegate, and some important factors about delegates. Along with that, how I can able to refer multiple methods, and what method I have to refer multiple methods at a time. That is nothing but the multicasting of a delegate, along with that events. So what is event here? That is nothing but the user action. To handle the user action, we required some handler that is known as event handler. These are the certain topic I have discussed in my last session. And dear student, from the examination point of view, delegate, this is very important concept, and you can expect for 7 or 8 marks. And if I consider events, this is also very important topic, and you can expect 2-mark question under this topic. Now, in my today's session, I'm going to deal with console class. Along with that, I'm going to deal with what is console input, what is console output. Along with that, I'm going to deal with formatted output. These are the certain topic I'm going to deal in my today's session. And dear student, once again, this topic is also very important, because in your final exam, you can expect one sure question under this topic. Now, what is console class and why I want console input and console output? So dear student, if I consider C program, to enter the input or to feed the input to the computer system, I am going to use scanf statement. And if I want to display some message to the user, then I'll go with the printf statement. And all these printf and scanf are stored under stdio.h. But if I consider C# programming, then I'm going to have the console class. Console in the sense what? It's nothing but the terminal. Now, to display the input and to read the input, I'm going to have the console. So, to display the output, I'm going to have the terminal or console, that is monitor. Now to read the input, I'm going to have the keyboard, and to read and to write the content, I must have console, and this is a class This is stored under system namespace. Now, what is system namespace? It is a namespace that provides classes and methods. Now, if I consider console, this console is a class which is stored in the system namespace. So, what is console class here? It represents standard input and output. So what is console here? That is nothing but the standard input and output. And if I consider standard input, then it is keyboard. And if I consider standard output, then it is monitor. And error stream for console application. And this class cannot be inherited. That means I cannot able to inherit console class, and this console class is present under system namespace. And how to use console class in my program? This is the syntax. So I want to have the format specifier, then I'm going to write static. It is a keyword. Why I have static? Because to call this console class, I does not require any object. And class, it's a keyword used to specify console class. Now, if I consider console class includes console input and console output. So both are standard input and standard output. Now if I consider console output, so what is console output here? That is, if I want to display some message, then I'm going to use the monitor. In the monitor, I'm going to display the message. And to display anything, I have write line or write. So dear student, see here. Suppose in my C# program, if I forget to add using system. So what it is? Suppose if I miss to add using system in my program, then what I want to do? I want to use my namespace. What is my namespace here? That is nothing but the system. Now this is my namespace. Under this system, I have console class. In this console class, I have two methods, that is read and write. Now to write, I have write line and write. So what's the difference here? Suppose if I go with write, then I'm going to write the content on the same line. And if I go with write line, so what is line? That's nothing but the new line. That means whatever the content I'm going to write or I'm going to display, that is on my new line or in my next line. So here system is a namespace. So what is namespace? That is nothing but it includes classes as well as methods. And console is a class within namespace system, and write line and write are the methods of console class. Now dear student, let me to consider simple program here, that I want to display some message. That means I want to give some message. So what I will do? I will use write line. And see, this is the structure of C# programming. And at the beginning, I want to use using system. Then I'm going to create my own namespace. There's nothing but the user-defined namespace. And what is the user-defined namespace here? That is sample. Inside that, I have the class called test. Inside this, I have main function. And inside the main function, I'm going to write the method called write line. So here console is nothing but a class which is present under this system, and write line is a method which is present in this console class, and I'm going to display the message that hash is cool. That means this C# programming is coolest programming language. What is the output? C# is cool. Okay, fine. Now you got what is WRITELINE and how I'm going to use WRITELINE. Now, dear student, let me to consider another program, and it is mainly used to get the difference between WRITELINE and write method. See here, I'll start with using system, and what is my namespace? That is sample, and I'm going to create my own class. See, I have the main method. Inside this main method, I'm going to have WRITELINE as well as write method. So what is WRITELINE? I'm going to display the content in the next line. See here, I have the WRITELINE, and what I'm going to print here, prints on. So what is the output I'll get? It is prints on, and another output, new line. So I'm going to display the content in the next line. So here line is nothing but new line. And see, I have the third output. It is prints on same line. Okay, that means, see here, if I go with WRITELINE, it is nothing but line breaker. That means, if I want to display or print the content in the next line, then I can able to use WRITELINE. In this WRITELINE method, W is capital letter and L is capital letter. And if I consider write, so I'm going to write the content on the same line. See, I have prints on and I have same line. So I'm going to print the content on the same line. So this is the difference between WRITELINE and write method. Now, dear student, I'm going to have another example program, that is how to display or how to use variables as well as literals. So variables, we know what is variable, we know what is literals, and how we can able to make use literals and variables in my program. So here I'll start with using system. Then I'm going to have my own namespace called sample, and this is my class. Inside the class, I'm going to have the main function, and dear student, C# programming is case sensitive programming language. So if I consider main function or main method, in this M is capital letter. Now, variable, I want to declare the variable. So what is the format I have? First, I want to write the data type. So it is integer. Then I want to specify the variable name. So what is my variable name? Here is value, and I'm going to assign 10. Now, I'm going to write the values on the screen. So, WRITELINE, and I'm going to get the answer 10. Now, in the next statement, I have WRITELINE, and I'm going to display 50.05. So, this is nothing but the literals. What is literal here? Literals are nothing but the constants. And I have 50.05. So once again, print line method is used to print variables as well as literals. Now I'm going to have another program, that is how to combine or how to club two string. So to club or to combine two string, I'm going to have the plus operator. Club in the sense what? That is string concatenation. For example, say I have C# and is cool. So I have two string called C# is one string and is cool is another string. Now I want to club both the string. To club or to combine both the strings, I am going to have the operator called plus. So here string can be combined or concatenated using the plus operator. And see here, I'm going to have the statement that is using system, and I have the namespace that is sample, and I'm going to write the class called test. Inside that I'm going to have the method that is main function. See, I have the value that is val15. Okay. Now I want to combine two strings. I have two strings that is hello, then I have another string called world. Now I just want to combine. For that I'm going to have the plus operator, and when I call or when I execute this line, I'm going to get the output hello world. Okay. Now I'm going to print the value. So what is the value? Value equal to 55. Okay. So this is the way I can able to club two string, or I can able to combine two string. So to combine both the strings, what I will do, I'm going to use the plus operator. Now dear student, I'm going to have another program. It's mainly used to illustrate how to use format specifier and how to specify placeholder. So printing concatenated string using formatted string. That means I want to print concatenated string. Along with that, I want to format the output. So here the actual program is going to start from using system. That means this is my first line in my every C# programming. Then see, I'm going to create the namespace that a sample. In this I'm going to write the class, and inside this I'm going to have the main method. Now what is the program? That is, I want to concatenate two string and I want to display the string. So here I'm going to have the data as well as the variable. So what is my data type here? That is integer. And what are the variables I have? That is first number that is equal to 5, then the second number that is equal to 10, and I have the result. Now what I'm going to do? I'm going to add first number and second number. Okay, then what I'm going to do? I'm going to perform output. So dear student, I'm going to add first number and I'm going to add second number. After adding first number and second number, whatever the result I have, that is stored in the variable called result. Now what I want to do? I want to format the output. For format the output, I have the placeholder. That means I'm going to specify in my 0th location what I want, and in my first location what I want to display, and in my second location what I want to display. So here I want to get the output, that is 5 plus 10 equal to 15. So I want to display the output 5 plus 10 equal to 15. That means I want to format or I want to arrange the output. For that, see here, I'm going to have the placeholder. In the 0th place, I want the number 5. Then I want the plus operator. In my next place, I have the number 10. And what I want to do? I want to display the output. So what is the output? That is 15. So in 0th place, what I want to do? I want to display first number, and in my first place I want to display second number, and in my second place I want to display the result. So like this I can able to format the output, and these curly braces are known as placeholder. So what is placeholder? I'm going to specify the place where I want the output. Now I'm going to have the console input. So what is input and why I want console input? So dear student, here console input is nothing but standard input, and which is the best example for standard input, that is nothing but keyboard. Now why I want input? So dear student, without input computers are not able to process. To process anything, we have to provide the input. And if I consider C# programming, we are going to have the read line and read method. But if I consider C program, then I'm going to have this scanf statement. In C#, the simplest method to get the input from the user by using read line method of the console class. However, read and read key are also available to get the input. So here I have the read method to read the input. Even if I want to read only one key at a time, then I have the read key method. They are also present in the console class. So here read line, read key methods are stored under console class. Now, if I consider console write method, this is also present in the console class, and it is mainly used to display the content on the screen or on the monitor. But the console class provides the read method to get the values from the user. Suppose if I want to get the values from the user, that means each time I want new value, and each time to get new values from the keyboard, I'm going to have the read or read line. And what is the syntax? That is, I want to specify the variable name equal to console dot read. See here, in my console C is capital letter and in my read R is capital letter, because C# programming is case sensitive. Now this is the simple program used to read the input, and at the same time how I can able to display the output. So dear student, please remember one thing, that suppose if I miss to include this line, that is using system, then everywhere I want to use the keyword system. Suppose if I return using system, then directly I can write, that is console.write or console.WRITELINE. So here what is my namespace? That is sample, and this sample namespace includes classes as well as methods, and I'm going to create the class in my namespace, and I'm going to write the main function, and I have created the variable called test string, and it's of type string. Now what I will do, I'm going to provide the instruction or information to the user that enter a string. That means I'm expecting some input from the user. So what I want to do, I just want to give the message that enter a string. When this message is displayed on the monitor or on the screen, now the user is going to input something. For that, I'm going to have the read line, and this read line method is present in the console. Now, the user can able to input some input. For example, say it is good morning. The input is good morning. Now, this input is stored in the test string. So, this input is stored in the test string. Now, what I want to do, I want to display the input. That means whatever the input I have read, I want to display that input on the screen. So, what I will do, I'm going to use the WRITELINE method and you entered, and I'm going to specify the place where I want to display the output. That is, you entered and display the output in the 0th position, and I'm going to get the output. You entered colon good morning. So this is the output of this program. Now, dear student, I'm going to have another program, that is reading numerical value or reading numeric value. So reading numeric value in the sense what? How I'm going to read the numerical, that is integer values or whole numbers, and how I'm going to display. So dear student, the actual program is going to start from system, that is using system. Then I'm going to have the namespace called user input. Okay, then I'm going to have the class called my class. Within this, I'm going to have the method called main method. Now, here I have 3 variables and each of type different. See here, I have string user input, and see here I have integer, that is int value, I have double, and I have double value. So what I want to do, I want to read the input. For that, what I want to do, I want to display some message to the user. So what is the message? That is enter integer value. For example, say it is 2020. Okay, that is console.readLine. Okay, when I execute this line, then I'm going to enter the input, that is 2022. Okay, now that is stored in the user input. Now I want to convert, that means whatever the input I'm going to read, that is in the form of string. Okay, in C hash, whatever the input I'm going to read, that is in the form of string. Now I want to convert that string into integer. For that, I'm going to have the convert. Okay, I'm going to have the convert dot. I'm going to have the method, that is 2int32. Okay, so this is the size of the integer. So 2int32. I have 2int64. So it depends on your operating system size. Okay, so convert dot 2int32, and I'm going to pass 2022, and this is stored in this int val. Now I'm going to print the output, that is you entered 2022. Now, dear student, I'm going to display the message to the user that once again I want to read double value, that is nothing but the fractional value, and I'm going to enter 3.1214. Okay, now this is stored in this user input, and whatever the input I'm going to provide, that is in the form of string. Now I want to convert that into double, so I'm going to use the convert method. Okay, and I'm going to call to double, and I'm going to pass 3.1214, and I'm going to get the output you entered double. So you entered what I entered, 3.1214. Now in C hash programming, whatever the input I'm going to read, that is in the form of string. So for that reason, I want to convert that into respective data types. For that, I can able to use convert or parse. Okay, I can able to use convert or parse. Now, This is all about how to read numeric values and how to convert the read values into respective numerical values. Anyway, dear student, in my today's session, I started with what is console class and how to perform console input and how to perform console output. What are the methods supported by the console input as well as console output along with some example program. But in my next session, once again, I'm going to deal with formatted output. In that, I'm going to deal with standard numerical format string and custom numeric format string. Anyway, dear student, let's meet in the next session with the concept formatting output. Until that, keep watching and keep learning and keep smiling. Thank you.